Yo, what's up? My name is Reeve, and today I'm going to show you how I made my remix of the Swedish House Mafia and The Weeknd's new song Moth to a Flame. But before we head into the project, let's listen to the finished results first.
Cause he seems like he's here for you, and he makes you feel like you should. And all your friends say he's the one, his love for you is true. But does he know you call when you sleep? Or does he know the pictures that you keep?
Okay, so right here is the project where I made the drop. And this song, I made it in two separate projects because I used a template of another song that I made for the drop. So I started actually with the drop. I first figured out the chords and the lead. The vocal used to be in this project as well, but as you can see, I organized it a bit. So what I started with was these chords and this lead. And that sounds like this. For the lead, I have a bunch of processing on it. Without it sounds like this. And I'll turn them on one by one. So nothing really crazy, just some EQing, some OTT. I use this reverb to put it in some sort of space, but it's more adding some flavor to the sound instead of using this as a real reverb, because I also have a reverb on this send right here that does function as a reverb. And then this pad sounds like this. But I used some EQing, a tremolo effect, and sidechain, of course. So that's the basis of the song. And then I added a couple of extra leads just to give it a bigger feel. Nothing really crazy or special, but it does add, it gives the song more energy and it makes it sound bigger. Then I added the basses. This is I made this preset myself in Silent. It's basically a sine wave with a saw wave on top in a filter. Sounds like this. Nothing really crazy. Just adding that saw on top to give it a bit more harmonics. Otherwise, it would just be the sine. And you won't hear that much of the bass on your phone. Which later on turned out not to be necessary, but I kept it that way. And it's not necessary because I added all these mid and top basses with it that sound like this. All right, together with the leads. And that's basically the drop. Then I've added some atmosphere, strings, stuff like that. I like using atmosphere. I think it makes a song sound fuller, but it's not taking away the attention of the most important parts of the song, the lead, the vocals. All right, then for the drums, I grouped them together. Wait, this is the bus. I use some Noizu cymbals. They are on Splice and they are really good. With a clap and a shaker. The shaker. And what I like to do is use some percussion that's in tune, or that has some sort of tune to it. So, and then tune it to the song, of course. Sounds like that. For the processing on the drums, there's not that much stuff going on. I removed some resonances. I removed this because later on I noticed in the other project that sometimes the drums are clashing with the leads and the vocal a bit, so I took this away. Yeah, and basically some resonances, and there's some slight compression on here, but nothing crazy. All right, then moving on to the effects. Yeah, basically it's some impacts. And that's all for the drop. Together, of course, with the kick, it sounds like this. All right, so right here we have the project with the breakdowns and everything combined. As you can see, it's pretty minimalistic, but that's because I have the drop over here that I just bounced in audio without mastering, of course. So over here you have the vocals. I did some processing on it because it was a ripped acapella, so the quality was pretty shitty, but together with the processing and combining it with the sounds, you won't really notice that it's not the best quality, and it sounds like this. Without the processing, it would sound like this. It's not the biggest difference, but it's just a bit cleaner, as clean as I could get it. Then we already figured out the chords for the drop. And so I added those chords to a piano and a Moog bass. Funny story is that Moog bass is actually from a remake. I remade one of the Weeknd song. Can't really remember which one it was. It was 2 years ago already. And I remade the bass that was in that song, and I thought it was nice to use that bass in my remix. It sounds like this. Then I added some atmosphere to it. Added a kick, and this thing is one of my favorites. I love to use it right before a transition to, in this case, the build-up. And so if you combine those things together with the lead, it sounds like this. Then I added some uplifters, fills, and it sounds like this. All right. One thing that I like to do is, instead of using reverse crashes or noise sweeps and downlifters, I like to reverse sounds and also make impacts with sounds. I do this a lot, and you'll notice that this is something that I do in all my songs. Okay, cool. Then right over here is the drop that I made in the other project. But I added some stuff to it. This is a bass I use often. Sounds pretty cool in my opinion. It's basically a saw synth, but if you add, if this wants to open, yes. So if you add a phaser that opens up sometimes and you do an EQ like this, it sounds way cooler. So without the EQ, with the EQ, of course, this sounds a bit thinner because I took away the sub bass. think it's something cool to add. And then I used some bass house synths, but added a shit ton of reverb on top of it. And as you can see here, and it sounds like this. Basically, it plays almost the same melody as the vocal, and it just accentuates the vocal a bit. So this together with the vocal without the drop sounds like this.
Does he know you call me when he sleeps? Or does he know
With the drop.
the pictures that you keep?
Okay, moving on, because there's more. Okay, I have this trick that with how I make my vocoders. And if you want me to explain more, I can make a separate video, or maybe just send me a DM or whatever, and I can type it for you. I take multiple vocoders and pen them left, right, short. And that makes it sound really full and big. And that's what I used for the second break and also the second drop.
He's the one, his love for you is true.
All right. And together it all sounds like this.
Yeah, you should be with him. I let you go from time. We should stay with him, 'cause he seems like he's good for you, and he makes you feel like you should. And all your friends say he's the one, his love for you is true. Or does he know you love me when he sleeps? Or does he know the pictures that you keep? Or does he know the reasons that you cry? Or tell me, does he know where
That's the full project and the whole explanation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was my very first video where I tried to explain everything. I hope everything is clear. But if you do have questions, please feel free to ask them. You can send me a DM on Instagram or comment below this video, and I'll try to answer them. I'd be more than happy to help you guys out, and hopefully see you in the next one.